Hello, and welcome to the Heart of Dentistry podcast. We're looking forward to bringing you the tools that will be so helpful in making your career full of heart and fulfillment.
So, Brandi, who do we have as our guest today?
Well, we have the amazing Dr. Alan Stern, who wears many hats. He has been such an inspiration to our entire community and done so much good work for dentistry, and including being a dentist and seeing patients in the office. But underneath all of those hats, underneath Dr. Alan Stern DDS is Alan. And Alan happens to be a human with a phenomenal journey that we are so excited to share with you guys today. So, Dr. Stern, Alan, guide us through something hard today. I feel like that is one of your genius areas, is how to get through something grueling and heartbreaking and then be well on the other side of it.
I think, and thanks, Brandi. Thanks, Jamie. It is really good to be here. And the message is that my good friend Christy Boltz taught me: we can do hard things. In fact, we are made to do hard things. Let's not get overwrought about the fact that we come into hard times. Because both of you, Brandi and Jamie, you've both been through hard things. This is nothing new. What we really need to do, and there are some phrases that guide me, let these challenges refine us, not define us, because they're here to make us better. I will tell you, I'm very forthright about this. I'll put it out there to the world, that I am the son of a Holocaust survivor. And I am the son of an abusive, self-hating narcissist. And so my upbringing went, that my hero mother was really of the mindset that people of the Jewish faith were put on this earth to suffer. She didn't know any better. She was offloaded off of a cattle car with her parents, pushed one way in Auschwitz, her parents the other way. She lived, they died. And she witnessed atrocities that just make what goes on today look like child's play. How could she have known any different? And so subliminally into me was inculcated that belief. Then I was told I would never amount to anything. And then we got into dental school. Oh boy, what a treat. And hygienists of the world, I want you all to understand that your docs are by and large great people trying to do great things, but they have been through some training that may not have enabled them to bring out the best of themselves. And so was my story. I went through all that, and I made some very, very stupid financial and business decisions. And I found myself in my 50s living paycheck to paycheck. Oh my goodness. And I've been through everything. I've been through the Pankey Continuum. I've done Tucker. I did a Coyce course. I've done head and neck dissection. I've been through all that. And yet, paycheck to paycheck, what's up with that?
Though, just an idea as we're working through it. This is something I've been learning for my own journey. What if they weren't really stupid mistakes? What if it was really the very best you could do with what you had at the time? And thank goodness that you're better now.
Yes. And Brandi, that's an incredible point. That insight is more profound than profound, because I don't have very many regrets, because those things, the downside of my upbringing, the downside of my hitting financial rock bottom, made me what I am today. And it's given me the ability to really transmit a good message to people that you can not only recover from these things, but you could thrive. You could thrive.
I'll add in here really quick about the thriving. I think a lot of that, because I have had a journey, as we all have. But what I would say is the thing that I believe that you're seeing right now that gives me goosebumps is that you've been willing to be vulnerable and open about those happenings, those things that, and that's, I think, if there is any message just to this point right now, it's that there's more people out there that have gone through some of these things that you were thinking, what was I thinking? Or how stupid can I be? And outside looking in. But you know what? The more you share, the more you're open, the more you're vulnerable. You think you might be helping other people, but what did that do for you, Alan?
Yeah. I've drawn a lot of power from that. And even speaking with you ladies offline and sharing our stories, it empowers all of us. So I'm better for telling my story. And I'm just better as a result of all of it. Here's the key, though. The key is, refine and not define, but refine. Don't be a victim of this. Do everything in your power with help, preferably with help, to get out of the mindset of woe is me and to get into the mindset of this nonsense is happening for a reason and something good is going to come of it. Very hard to do when you're in the moment, but it is the truth.
Well, and generationally, you learned that your particular humanship was meant for suffering. So I would love to know, when did you recognize that that version of reality didn't have to be true for you anymore?
It was right after rock bottom, Brandi. My rock bottom was living paycheck to paycheck and having been through financial advisors and consultants who were not right for me. Finding the right financial advisor said, Alan, sell your house. What? My beautiful house in my beautiful neighborhood where the doctors live, sell the house. And so I did. And
Identity, right then and there, you're thinking, my identity is this.
Yeah.
And now they're asking me to do this.
Yeah. And so we sold the house. I live in a townhouse now. And it's more than adequate for what we need, but pretentious and ostentatious it is not. And I think I'm the only guy with 3 letters after his name who lives here. And that's okay.
Because that's okay. I love it. That's okay.
Fine. Because once I realized that, and I got the 800-pound gorilla out of my room, which in my case was financial burden and crippling debt, I realized that money has nothing to do with who I am. It's nice to have. No, we work for it, but it's not a definition. It's, in fact, it enabled me to be who I am, to practice as I want to do, not as somebody else tells me what to do, following my own principles, and the money followed. And I realized who I am. That's once you get the encumbrances out, and once you get in touch with your core values, which I did in 2 different programs, I realized who I am. And everything I say and do by intent is to my core values. I did it in the latter third of my practice, and I'm doing it every day of my life going forward.
Absolutely.
You make me think of a quote by, I think it's Tony Robbins, that success without joy is the biggest failure in life.
Yeah, I don't like the word failure. That's one of the F words that I don't use here in New Jersey.
But that's what I'm saying is that you can say whatever, that you can fill that in, but think about success without joy.
Yeah.
And you had success without joy at that point.
I had misery.
Yeah.
I had I told you about PMD, didn't I? Did I teach you the disease that I discovered years ago?
Go ahead.
I'm famous for this. Now, we all treat TMD in our practices, right? You never heard of PMD, perpetually miserable dentist.
Yeah, I know that.
That's a very common disease. And if we're talking to a lot of hygienists here and a lot of women here, I want you all to understand that so many of your dental colleagues are afflicted with this. And what an amazing supportive role the hygienists of the world can play when they see a dentist internally suffering. And that can manifest as uncertainty. It could manifest as timidity. It could manifest as anger. Mm-hmm. All of these things, hygienists of the world understand that these are signs that your dentist, your colleague, your co-therapist is hurting. And if we can use our traits of empathy that we are blessed with to draw that out and help make our colleague happier and more comfortable, man, what power, how much better does it get than that?
Not much. It's the whole team, you know, and not even the whole dental team, but just the whole community of working together and supporting one another on the journey through the hardships and the mistakes to make it all work.
Yeah.
When I look at the dentists in my life, and I'm married to one, my best friend is one, and I work with them in general. One of the things that I notice is that there is a visible weight on their shoulders. And it sounds to me like you had that weight and yours was your own brand of it, but you figured out how to get from underneath it. So you hit rock bottom and now you've got this situation where you have climbed your way out of it. What steps did you take to de-burden yourself, to let that weight that I see visibly on dentists as a general rule of thumb, not all of them, but many of them, you can see it. How did the stepping out of rock bottom look for you?
Well, first of all, once the financial freedom, that anvil over my head was gone. Secondly, I learned what's important to me and I practiced it by intent. I practiced force for goodness by intent. I practiced people are fragile and people are precious by intent. And it made me happy. Now, let's get something very straight here, that neither during practice nor today is my life without stress. And we are all going to be prone to this comparison trap, this perfectionist trap, this people-pleasing trap that is destructive. It helps nobody. And so I am armed with the knowledge that it's going to happen. And when I see it, I can say, hey, go back to the back of the brain where you belong. I've got work to do. And this was with the help of 2 therapists. I did not get here alone. I did not learn these things on my own. I really did have to lay it all out for a couple of amazing therapists who got me to put it in perspective. So I was able to take the business things, the practice thing, the patient cancels, the crown doesn't fit, the implant deintegrates. Oh my God. The bridge comes out for the 4th time. Or did that only happen?
Team member quits.
Team member quits. Patient leaves the office.
Yes.
And I was able to put it in perspective, and I put it in perspective in comparison to total disaster. And all of these things are just part of life. And they're here to say, all right, what went wrong, if anything? What can we do better? And how are these ridiculous things going to make me better today? What am I going to do different to make it not happen?
Love that.
And it's the quest. It's the quest for the knowledge. That's all it is.
Because it isn't about it isn't that life isn't going to happen, because it's life, right? It's going to, how do I handle it now that I've been at the bottom? How am I going to handle those things today? It reminds me of the book Peaks and Valleys. Have you guys ever read that? Yeah. It talks about how when you're on your peak, you have to remember your valleys.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in your valleys, it helps remind you, because when you are in your valleys, it reminds you what it feels like to get quicker to your peak. so that you're not hanging in the valley as long because you remember how that felt. But the main part I took out of that book was, and it's a short read and it's great, but when you're at your peaks, it's remembering the valleys, anyways. But I just love your story. I've always been captivated by it and inspired by it so much. And I asked you the 3 words that describes you, and you said force for good or force for goodness. And that didn't come because you've always had good.
That's right. It came because I really got to sit quietly with some really great teachers.
Only with yourself.
Oh, absolutely. But this was facilitated learning. No one gets there alone, including me. And, part of that process also, just going back to the point before, because it's so important, the adversities that we've all overcome. If we look back at those moments where we thought the world was coming to an end, did it? No. The worst thing that happens is we survive it. The best thing that happens is we come out with a learning experience. So when we understand that adversity, any of these things that happen in dentistry or in life, with a couple of glaring, horrible exceptions, like God forbid losing a child, most of these things are recoverable. And even the worst day of my life, just about a little more than 12 years ago, right now, is when I lost my mother. And a ton of good came out of that. We raised a ton of money for charity, for Holocaust survivor charities.
Yeah.
And the loss of my mother caused me to realize that this is what I'm supposed to do. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it too much today, but it led to me creating this better, richer, stronger endeavor that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So out of adversity, if we look carefully enough, the universe will give us opportunity for better.
Absolutely.
So it's terrible when you're in those moments. But if you could understand that they're going to pass like a storm cloud, let it go. Let it pass, let it go. And you'll get through it. And also embrace the beautiful moments that you have, because they're going to pass too. So embrace those great moments.
So, Alan, if I'm hearing you correctly, there's no magic wand. There's no perfect secret recipe other than trying to get clear about who you are and what you value. And then no matter what the situation brings, be it sunshine or this amazing snowstorm that has my kids at home today, to act from that core value. And whether you're a dentist or a hygienist or a school teacher or a bus driver, that if everything that you do is trying to be that force for goodness that you are, the living into your values, that all of the other things are going to take care of themselves. Is that?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Look, we are. What's that?
I said I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, we are blessed, the 3 of us, and all of us who are listening to this, with training and knowledge that 93% of the population of this country do not have. We are in the top 7% of educated professions. Does that make us any better? No. But it gives us more responsibility, and it gives us more opportunity, 93% more opportunity to be more powerful than maybe other people could imagine themselves being. For the other 93%, they've got plenty of power, as long as they connect to their core values and live as themselves. And your dental practice, look, there are dentists out there who are dedicated to public service, to the federally qualified health centers of the world. There are dentists who are dedicated to the upper elite level of aesthetic dentistry. And there's everything in between. And every one of them is the right answer, as long as the dentist in that practice is congruent with his or her values. We align our values, our integrity, with our daily work, and everything that's hard becomes doable.
The hard times become not as hard because you are doing what brings you joy to your heart.
Yeah.
But when you stop having joy in your heart, those hard times are the death of you. So anyways, you gave us some great nuggets and some great information here. And I don't think this is going to be the last, right, Brandi, that we see and have of Dr. Stern, Alan,
on our... Going to stop that.
I know, I got to get used to that. It's ingrained in my head as a... Anyways, so... Because I never call you I've never called you Dr. Stern until these podcasts with you. But
so why Stern?
Anyways, yes, I know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And we will make sure that people that want to reach out to you for whatever reason, because this goes beyond even dentistry, and if they have any family members or friends that they think can connect with you and relate to you and could get some advice from you, I really think that that would be a good thing outside of even dentistry with everything you've gone through. And we will make sure that everyone can get a hold of you in our podcast. So thank you for joining us. And Brandi, good luck with the snow day and your kids being home that you weren't expecting.
It'll be so fun. And that's, as it comes up, it's different than the plan that they had and different than the plan I had.
Yeah.
I fully intend to take Alan's advice and enjoy it. And some of this work that's on my desk is getting moved to the side, and I'm going to go hang out with them.
Go hang out with them. Go sledding.
Thank you for everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Heart of Dentistry podcast.